warm welcome to the Ref Show. I do hope that you've enjoyed the festive season and that you'll continue to do so with plenty of football all to get us out of the house, which is always welcome, isn't it, David, Hirst and Glenn? So a reason to go out of the house on Boxing Day. And I always play the I've got to go to work, I've got to go to work. Oh.
Jog off for Turkey, I think it's called.
But it's always a pleasure to get out of the house, isn't it? And it's been a pleasure, I think, for a lot of referees to get out of the house this weekend, certainly going on Boxing Day in the Premier League. I think that
on the whole, a good set of fixtures. Just one game really that stands out as below the standard expected, but the rest of them, put a good shift in.
And this was the guy that you expected to hold the standard expected. Yeah. This was Martin Atkinson. Yeah. We'll come to his game in a minute. I suppose the biggest talking point over the Boxing Day fixtures, and we'll talk about the Championship as well, some big games there, is again coming to diving in what was Sam Allardyce's return to management at Crystal Palace. He seems to take headlines around with him, does Big Sam. 1-1 draw, which is actually a good result at Watford, except for the circumstances. Mark Clattenburg was in the middle. Now, Sam, did you see his reaction on the sidelines when the penalty not only was refused when Zaha went down, but Zaha got cautioned for simulation diving, which I thought was actually correct.
I'm with you on that one. Zaha made the movement for me into the challenge himself. There's no penalty there for me.
Mark Halsey's often argued, look, don't go looking for it. If there's a margin of doubt, don't give the yellow card.
Penalty kicks are big decisions. Yeah. They're big decisions that really, they need to be standout decisions if you're going to give one. Yeah. And that wasn't a penalty kick for me.
And also the yellow card, I think sort of rubbed salt in Sam's wound. But the way I saw it, Zaha's going through, and he suddenly veers to the side to induce the contact.
He's looking for it. He's looking for it. He's waiting for the touch to go down, make it easy for himself, and make it difficult for the referees. As we say, it's virgin. I mean, cheating's the word. You know, you're trying to cheat the referee into making the wrong decision. You know, and he's got to be disciplined for it. And a yellow, I think, suitable.
He's certainly got form for it.
And I think he's not the only one, by the way. There's a few out there.
He's certainly not. And Mark Clattenburg will give a big decision when it's called for. There was some grappling in that game in the area. There was one possible penalty that escaped his notice, but then a Watford penalty was duly given for grappling in that game. So he's going to cotton on to that. Two opportunity knocks for a couple of referees. Two referees that you are the ref.com experts have been championing. And it was good to see them having pretty uneventful games, which is great, really. Leicester 0, Everton 2 was Stuart Atwell. And Arsenal's late winner against West Brom, Giroud's header late on, 1-0. Neil Swarbrick in charge of that. Now, those two, good to see them coming through.
Very good to see them coming through. Two very good referees who we keep saying the same thing every time we see them. They deserve more and more. And as we'll come on to later, one of the favoured referees, if you like, having an indifferent game. It'll be interesting to see when the next round of fixtures are announced whether or not these two lads are given chance on even higher profile games. I mean, that Leicester-Everton game wasn't easy. There were some tasty challenges going in on that one. And I thought he did very, very well to manage his way through that game.
This is what we're talking about every week, though, isn't it? You know, when they're doing well, we've got to promote them. Yeah. You know, keep them at the highest level. You know, rather than every time when they have a bad game, we demote them. Let's keep pushing them forward, test them.
And there have been enough regular referees making enough mistakes to create the room for these guys to come through, it would seem.
Oh, I say it a lot. I mean, to ask for the perfect games is asking a hell of a lot. You know, they're going to make mistakes. Players make mistakes, managers make mistakes, and referees, who've got the toughest job of them all, are going to make mistakes. That makes the game for me.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here, would we? Craig Pawson, now, okay, I don't want to rub it in, but he has made more mistakes than most just lately. In fact, he's had a horrendous run, but a very promising young referee. And it was good on Boxing Day to see him come through pretty much unscathed here. Burnley 1, Middlesbrough 0.
Yeah. Again, a tough game. Two teams who are scrapping for perhaps the wrong reason or the reasons that they wouldn't wish for. And he's done well. He's come through it well, as Craig. And good lad. We, you hit those peaks. It can be peaks and troughs refereeing, and it's lovely when you're hitting the peaks. But sometimes you're down there and you've got to pull yourself back up again. And hopefully he's on the way back up again now because he's got a big game coming up.
He certainly had Man City, Liverpool, and there have been calls for him to be taken off that quite justifiably because of the run that he's been on. So this was
turn that on its head a little bit, because he's done well again. Like I say, you're going to have blips, you're going to make mistakes. I know for a fact that he's had a rough couple of weeks, but he's pulled it round on Boxing Day.
How do you know that then?
Well, as you can see, I once had a little go at Craig and his partner cuts my hair, so I'm going to say all the nice things today, to be honest. I think he should be doing the World Cup finals and Champions Leagues and everything. That's just me trying to look after my hair, to be fair.
I thought you changed your tune.
And the beard's gone. She took the beard off without.
Mrs. Pawson has greatly improved the look of the ref show, actually.
But no, hey, seriously, I think, like I say, I know he's had a little rough spell. Hopefully that gets him out of it, gives him the confidence to move forward, and like you say, a big game coming up. Do well in that and onwards and upwards.
Say it's a close shave, David.
It could be if I say something wrong, exactly.
Cutting it fine as ever. I mean, there is it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? There's a well-founded argument that you take a referee out of the firing line, give him a breather, and shelter him. But the other argument, if he goes in and gets one under his belt again, it's a bit like a team going out and scraping a 1-0 win.
You look at a centre forward, who's not scoring goals. Does the manager drop him, or does he keep playing him until he gets the one, and then he moves off and up and running?
Can you think of a centre forward?
The referee is no different to playing in that respect. No. It's a confidence game. And I hope Craig's starting to get his confidence back on the back of yesterday's performance.
Yeah,
and take that into the new year.
And certainly if Hirst comes in shaven-headed one day, we'll know that...
Alice walks through the door next week, you'll know I've said something wrong.
Wasn't happy.
No, I think you've got your hair cut. I think it's probably a freebie as well. Andre Mariner, who's had a pretty good season. This was Swansea 1, West Ham 4. Horrendous result for Swansea. And Bob Bradley. I mean, it's victimisation of him being an American and an American accent that he's had so much stick. People find these things, don't they, when a team's not winning,
really
that aren't there when...
Poor run, aren't they? Goodness me, he's in a trough at the moment, is poor Bob. And let's hope he gets out of it.
He wouldn't mind all the stick he's getting if he was top of the table, would he?
No, he wouldn't.
And he wouldn't change, so...
If he was top of the table and winning, nobody would say, oh, he's American, he doesn't understand our game and all the rest of it, and he's coming out with terminology that's different.
He's always going to be in the firing line. Always going to be in the firing line. For that reason alone.
Difficult job, isn't it?
You make poor start, poor results, people are just going to build on it.
And the reason we're talking about poor Bob Bradley is that Andre Mariner had a pretty uneventful game. In fact, he emerged with a clean sheet, no yellow cards whatsoever.
Full of the Christmas cheer.
Yeah,
well done,
I'm not sure no cards is full of the Christmas cheer.
I'm worried about that, to be honest. Yes. There's a lack of commitment from our players.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It does question that, doesn't it?
I'm not condoning going and kicking people up and down, but, you've got to show a bit of spirit and you're going to make late tackles by doing that. So I think he's got something to look at in that department.
Yeah, good point. Absolutely good point. In the second part of the ref show, we'll be talking about FIFA, who would appear to be quite active in the area of some new legislation that prevents any player on the field other than the captain approaching the referee and being in dialogue with him. So we'll kick that around. I know that we're not all in agreement on that, and I would ask that on this one, that only David Hirst talks to me as the referee, and Glenn Turner not be allowed. He'll have to tell David what he thinks.
If I need to speak to him, you have to make me captain.
You were never ever captain, were you?
No, I wasn't. No.
Never ever. We're going to talk about a couple of big games in the Championship. I saw one of them at Huddersfield. Peter Banks in charge, thought he did well. And Paul Tierney, Keith Hackett was particularly appreciative of Paul Tierney's performance at Newcastle, and not only because Sheffield Wednesday won that very, very big game. Plus, we'll round up the rest of the Premier League, including the one match that really stood out for errors. That was at Old Trafford, Manchester United beating Sunderland. And it stands out as well because in charge was Martin Atkinson, who you expect a standard from. Bobby Madley, though, you also expect a standard from. He's doing well. Hull, Manchester City. Talk about that as well in part 2 of the Ref Show. Bit of a brain teaser between now and then. Do hope you can rejoin us. See you then. In the last seconds of a game, with the ball out for a corner, you wave on a sub. He acknowledges your signal and, to save time, races straight from the dugout to the corner flag and curls the ball into the net. Your linesman flags for no goal. What do you do?